no child in India will be deprived of education because of hunger. India has got 1.2 million schools.
Okay.
Akshaya Patra is feeding 29,000 schools every day. We built the world's largest kitchen.
What if the funding dries up?
So let me take you to 1970s.
Mr. Shridhar Venkat, sir, really honored to have you here. Thank you for your time and welcome to JarXchange.
Thank you for this opportunity, Akash. Such a pleasure meeting you.
Same here, sir. So just for the viewers who might not know about Akshaya Patra, if you can briefly tell us what is the organization about and what does the organization do?
Akshaya Patra means a vessel which can give unlimited food.
Okay.
Akshaya means infinite and Patra means a vessel. So this Sanskrit name, you'll find it in Mahabharata.
Okay.
Draupadi had this vessel. And keeping this spirit in mind, what Akshaya Patra does is, there are millions of children in this country who can miss out on benefits of education because of hunger. The country is doing very good, but there are sections of children who need a good meal every day to come to school. So Akshaya Patra thought that why can't we have meal as an incentive for children to come to school? And if you look at our vision, it says no child in India will be deprived of education because of hunger. And that's what we do. We feed children every day a hot, safe, nutritious meal.
Got it.
So there are 9,000 people in Akshaya Patra who get up in the morning with a singular focus that how do we ensure that no child in this country goes to bed hungry, thereby missing out on benefits of education.
Sir, what is the origin story of it? Take us back 23 years. If you can talk something about
So let me take you to 1970s.
Okay.
23 years back, Akshaya Patra started in the year 2000. In 1970s, India's foremost Vaishnava Acharya, Swami Srila Prabhupada, who went to West and built 108 Krishna temples in a span of just 10 years. He went at an advanced age of 66 to the United States. He had built a big temple for Krishna in Mayapur, which is near Kolkata. And typically when a temple gets built, a huge feast is served. So a huge feast was served on plankton leaf. And he as an Acharya was very happy to see everybody was eating. And then after the feast was served, he was resting in his apartment. And he heard cries of children. And when he opened the apartment window, he saw children fighting with stray dogs for leftover scrap of food, which was there on the plankton leaf. So tears rolled down from his eyes. And he said, today I have invited the Supreme Father here. And wherever the Father is, his children should not go hungry. So he gave a mandate that in a 10-mile radius of any center which he builds, no one should go hungry, especially children. So that was the visionary seed of Akshaya Patra. So Swami Madhupandit Dasa, so 30 years later, this was 1970s, mid-1970s. So 30 years later, in the year 2000, Swami Madhupandit Dasa, who is the chairman of Akshaya Patra Foundation, who's an IITian from Mumbai, a Padma Shri awardee, he along with few more people, along with his vice president, who's the current vice chairman of Akshaya Patra, Swami Chanchalapati Dasa, and few more professionals from the industry, they all got together and said that why don't we do this initiative called Akshaya Patra. In fact, the name came much later. They said, why don't we feed? They were looking at various schemes. So one of the schemes that appealed to Swami Madhupandit Dasa was in alignment with what his spiritual master Swami Prabhupada had told.
And that was?
And that was feeding children.
Okay.
And that's how Akshaya Patra started. And it was incorporated as a secular trust to ensure that all our activities are secular. Though we started from a temple, the action of Akshaya Patra is very secular.
Got it.
That's how we started, very small, with 5 schools and 1,500 children.
So 2000, this started, and somewhere in the next 3 years, you joined the organization. So can you talk us about your journey? About we know you hail from Nagpur. We know a lot of things about you. But what was that point where you got introduced to this foundation?
So I joined Akshaya Patra in 2006. But prior to that, as a youngster, I love children, okay? And one is children, second is feeding someone who's needy. Was there at home, so giving food to someone needy. So I used to collect food and give it in Mother Teresa's mission or any Anath Ashram. Or as a youngster, I used to do that. And when I came to know about Akshaya Patra, I was volunteering with them much before I joined. I joined in 2006. Akshaya Patra started in 2000, actually. So I was volunteering with them. And, as a typical engineer management student, I was working for corporates, an ambitious youngster, so wanted to be a CEO by the age of 40. Okay, so I was transitioning from one job to another. And it so happened that one of those transitions, I stayed at the guest house of the ISKCON temple in Bangalore, where Akshaya Patra was born. And Madhu Pandit ji, who's the current chairman of Akshaya Patra, whom I knew very well, he invited me to his office. And he said, Shridhar, what are you doing? So I told him, I'm transitioning from one job to another. So he gave a pause and asked me a calling kind of a question that changed my life. He said, why are you building empires for others? Build for these children who need you. So that was like, sometimes you get asked a question which shakes you up. I think it was that question which made me quit a corporate career. And it just took me a minute to say yes to him.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It was not some big thinking and all I did.
Because I was about to ask, because you would have considered a lot of things before.
And in fact, I told my wife much later that after I told yes to Swami Madhu Pandit Dasa, I told my wife, and she was very supportive. And she said that, she said, go ahead and do this. Because, whenever you are embarking on a mission like this, your partner's support is extremely important.
100%.
So this question of Swami Madhu Pandit Dasa, I think was the trigger for me, or the nudge that is required for any transformative journey.
And what was the scale of the organization at that moment?
So when I started with Akshaya Patra, I think we were at about 150,000 children every day.
Got it. So talk us through the initial 0 to 1, as we call it, 0 to 1 journey, and then 1 to 10 journey. What are the challenges from 1,500 students to 1,500 kids to 150,000 to what it is today?
So, I told you we started with 5 schools and 1,500 children in Silicon Valley of East, Bangalore. So when we started sending food to these children in government schools, the kids were eating it with a lot of joy, and the consumption had gone up. We were sending khichdi every day to children.
Okay.
And after about 10 days or so, the consumption nosedived.
Okay.
So we were wondering why these children are not eating such a sumptuous khichdi. We were giving dal, rice, lentils, ghee, nicely cooked khichdi. The kids should be eating because they're hungry. So when we researched, we found out children of Bangalore don't eat khichdi for lunch. So that gave us the first insight that just because you are feeding children who are in need, you should not give what you want to give.
Correct.
But you should give what they want to eat, what their mothers would have given them if they had resources. So that was the first insight. Then the chairman started getting a lot of applications. Why are you feeding only those 5 schools? Why not our schools? So he started getting applications, and one day, there was a huge bunch. He opened the file and he saw there was a request for 100,000 children in Bangalore. And he's an IITian. So the second insight which we got
100,000 in Bangalore alone, you're saying?
100,000 in Bangalore. So the second insight we got was, if you want to solve this problem, you have to solve it at scale. It can't be 1,500 children, 5 schools. You need to use technology. So that's how Akshaya Patra built India's first centralized kitchen infrastructure
Okay.
in the not-for-profit sector in Bangalore.
Okay.
And that's how the journey started. The initial years, they started like this. And then a lot of insights we got. For example, how do you cook rice for 30,000 children? The first kitchen was 30,000 children.
Okay.
Now, how do you cook rice for 30,000 children? If you have 5 guests or 10 guests at home, beyond maybe 5 or 6 days, the homemaker or the head of the family becomes wary of the guest.
Yeah.
All right? Now, you have to do this day after day. Now, how do you ensure this? So that gave us the next insight that you should use technology for scale. We have a lot of engineers who are from reputed institutes. They all got together and they said that, why don't we use industrial steam, boilers which generate steam, and use steam to cook large amount of rice.
How does the logistics happen at this scale? Because if you're talking about a central kitchen where you are cooking food for 30,000 children, now it has to go to multiple endpoints. So how do you make sure that the logistics happens in a way that it is still fresh, tasty, nutritious?
You see, one of the cornerstone principles in Akshaya Patra is we will not give anything which is stale. We will not give anything which is processed. Because a mother who is very caring for her child, she would like to give whatever is best in her capability. Right? Nobody can replace a mother. But we can come as much as closer as possible. So that is one of the founding principles in Akshaya Patra. There is a reason why I'm telling you this. So when we have to transport food to a 30-kilometer radius, of course, logistics is involved. So we designed vehicles, what I call as buses of hope.
Nice.
Okay, which are insulated. They can keep food hot. And these are food-grade vessels that are used in Akshaya Patra. Because we have seen there's a correlation between hot food and consumption.
Okay.
You give hot food,
More.
in India the consumption is more. So we have fleet of vehicles. As we speak, we have 1,500 vehicles in Akshaya Patra. It's like a mini logistics company.
Yeah.
Okay, close to 19% of my cost, 18 to 19%, is for the logistics cost. Okay, so it runs like a proper logistics organization, and with a heart. And so if you look at the vehicle which I'm talking about, the blue bus of hope, it has side loading. So these are small innovations which you have done.
Side loading doors.
Slide loading doors. So that ease of, small things we do. What we call as kaizens in Akshaya Patra.
Oh, what's a kaizen? Sorry.
Kaizen is continual improvement.
Okay.
So we do about 1,000 kaizen thunders, and logistics also forms a very important part of improvement. So continually we improve. And when the vehicle reaches the school, you can see the smile on the child's face.
Stupid question, but do you get feedback that food is not good? I want this, I want that. How did you come up with the entire thing of designing the entire menu structure?
So when children in Bangalore do not eat khichdi every day, we were curious to know what do they eat.
Correct.
So we came and found we researched. We spoke to students, we spoke to their parents, we spoke to teachers. They said children in Bangalore, they eat rice, sambar and curd. That's their staple. Right? So that was incorporated in the kitchen. So customer centricity or ensuring what my beneficiary needs is another very, very important aspect of Akshaya Patra. And we also, in the initial part of Akshaya Patra, even now we do that, we give dessert every week to children.
Okay.
So in the initial part, when we started, we won't tell which part of the week we are giving them the dessert. Because looking at the dessert, the kid will come to school.
How did the journey start from Bangalore to becoming 15 states and 2 union territories and so many number of schools?
So there are a lot of factors. So one of the reasons why Akshaya Patra became what it is today is because of public-private partnership.
Okay.
We work very closely with the Government of India, various state governments. We are the implementation partner for the PM Poshan program or the midday meal program of Government of India. Government of India runs the world's largest school meal program.
Okay.
Nowhere in the world you will find a program of this magnitude, not even in China. Okay, India runs the world's largest program. So when we built our first kitchen, we started getting requests from other places. But there's an interesting story, let me tell you. When we were predominantly a South-based not-for-profit, right, Bangalore. Then we went to Hubli, and Hubli we built the world's largest kitchen.
World's largest.
World's largest kitchen, which has a capacity to cook for 250,000 children in 6 hours, cooked to consumption.
Wow.
And this was funded by Mr. Narayana Murthy, Mrs. Sudha Murthy, Mr. Deshpande, and Mrs. Jayashree Deshpande. They all came together and they said, let's do something big for children of Karnataka. So donor support and the support which we get from the government and untiring work of volunteers and staff of Akshaya Patra makes this magic happen every day. And that's how we started scaling up. So we've set up the largest kitchen in the world, which got featured in the National Geographic as the mega kitchen of the world. Then we went to different parts of the country. We go by invitation of the government.
Okay, got it.
So word of mouth and references make a very important part of Akshaya Patra's journey.
Is it a state subject, state government subject, sir?
So we are under the Government of India's midday meal program, which is the PM Poshan program.
Got it.
So the implementation happens through the state. Okay. So the Food Corporation of India gives us grains through the state. It gets administered through the state. And then there is a subsidy which comes from the Government of India and various state governments.
Has money ever been the problem, sir?
You know, let me give you an example. Or not an example. So let me give you a number or unit economics. We are feeding 2 million children today. I have an installed capacity to feed 3 million children every day.
Okay.
Installed capacity.
Understood.
If we have to make 2 million to 3 million, we can go tomorrow.
Okay.
But it needs 200 crores year after year to add 1 million if there is no inflation. Growth is a big challenge. For Akshaya Patra, growth is not a challenge. For Akshaya Patra, the challenge is how do we sustainably grow? And hence, availability of funds and predictability of funds is very, very important. Because once you start the kitchen, you cannot stop it. The child comes with a hope that he'll get a meal every day. And you cannot say, today I've started feeding, so kal paise nahi hai, and I can't do it.
How do you choose these schools? Is that again the government's role to understand and tell you that these are the schools?
See, the children from the bottom of the pyramid go to government school in our country. Okay, so India's poorest of poor children go to government schools. So the list of the schools is given by the government to us.
Sir, can you explain Akshaya Patra Foundation in numbers as it stands today?
So Akshaya Patra Foundation in numbers, just to give you a gist, India has got 1.2 million schools.
Okay.
Akshaya Patra is feeding 29,000 schools every day. So about 2.3%. We have about 1,500 vehicles, handle about 500 tons of food raw material every day.
Wow.
A typical kitchen, which has a capacity of 100,000 children, can handle about 7 to 10 tons of grains every day, 5 tons of vegetables every day, 5 tons of dairy every day, and 5 tons of pulses every day.
How many kitchens?
So we have, as we speak, we have 71 kitchens. 69 have been inaugurated actually.
And how many states?
15 states and 2 union territories.
Wow.
So it is the world's largest school meal program by a not-for-profit. But it is like telling, suppose you're from a for-profit space, it is like telling, I have 2% market share and I am the world's largest school meal program. So that explains the scale in our country.
Can you again tell me the market size you're talking about in terms of number of kids or number of schools?
So there are 1.2 million schools.
Okay.
We are in 29,000 schools. There are 110 million children who go to the government schooling system.
So is that the criteria to understand if they need a midday meal? Not every government school, not every kid might be in that pyramid, right? Where they need a midday meal scheme.
So, see, it is like rain falling, right? Rain doesn't distinguish, right? So the government of India has been very kind, the state governments have been very kind that children, if they go to government schools, they have an option to choose the meal.
Got it.
All of them.
Or option to withdraw.
Or they can say, I'm getting it from home.
Got
but
it.
most of the children eat the meal. And that's the challenge which we have. How do you ensure that day after day, the meal has to be tasty? So, in Akshaya Patra, every day the menu changes. And after 15 days, it repeats. So even many homes don't have this, right? But Akshaya Patra does it.
So what will it take to make this 2% to 10%? Do we need 5 Akshaya Patras? Or what do you see happening in the next 20 years with this foundation?
I was speaking at the IAS Training Academy many years back.
Okay.
So there was one very young, freshly minted IAS trainee, very smart. All the smart guys who went to IAS. So he stood up and he asked me this question. Shridhar, you want to do by 2020 this many million meals. What do you want to do by 2040? So I told him our future is very bleak. I want to close down Akshaya Patra by 2040 because by that time this great country will not need a school meal program. Will be so prosperous that Mother India won't require a program like this. So Akshaya Patra is working towards how we can make ourselves irrelevant. We cannot be a self-serving NGO. Just because there's a problem, you keep on solving the problem, right? Like, when if you have played cricket, when the batsman hits the ball, the fielder has to run past the ball and get it. At least his hand has to go past the ball, right? So you need to make sure that you find ways to solve the problem. So one way, since you asked me this question, one way to solve it is a replication of an idea like this. So if there can be 100 Akshaya Patras, which Akshaya Patra is very happy to share what we have done, we can solve the problem quickly. And we should also participate, which Akshaya Patra does, in strengthening the government system in terms of implementation. Already a lot of good work is happening with the government, but a lot more can be done. So partnership with government in terms of strengthening the decentralized kitchen model, because 92% of Indian children get the meal from a decentralized kitchen model. Akshaya Patra comes with 8%. In that 8%, we have 2% share, and we have the world's largest program. So replication, country doing good, all these things will really accelerate this problem getting solved.
So it's on one side that India gets to a point where there is no child which is hungry, and on the other side, till that time, there are more organizations like Akshaya Patra who can cover the deficit.
See, any problem in a country like India, if you have to solve, you have to solve it at scale. Generally, NGOs are wary of partnering with government, but our experience has been very different. We are what we are today because of the tremendous support which we get from the government, because we work together solving the problem, actually.
How do you measure a success of an NGO, sir? Or do you even do that?
I can tell you my personal take on this is, if an NGO can create transformative impact, the whole generation is getting transformed, and the problem is getting solved, I would say that is the real success of the NGO. If the NGO becomes irrelevant and the problem is getting solved,
that's it.
I will give a big clap for the NGO, actually.
Good.
Otherwise, it is like, I have an idea, nothing wrong about it, but then you remain there, 100, 500, nothing wrong about it. Boon se sagar banta hai. But very important that is focus. get up in the morning with just one focus. How do we ensure a hot, safe, nutritious meal to a child?
How do you build culture in such an organization? We can learn a lot about building cultures from you. So how does this happen? Is this at the point of when people join you? Or is this a continuous process?
Culture is all leadership game. And leadership is not, I'm saying, so many people are reporting to you. Leadership is beyond authority, right? So leadership behavior determines culture. Suppose I talk to you all these things and I go out and do something else, then I'm being inconsistent. So one of the most important thing which I have seen is leadership behavior. So there are 6 values in Akshaya Patra.
Okay.
Integrity, compassion, devotion, synergy, quality, and trustworthiness. Okay. How I define culture in Akshaya Patra is our values in action. And one very important thing which we follow in Akshaya Patra, which in many senses is non-negotiable, or we say that this you have to follow, is respect.
Respect for?
Respect for anyone. Your beneficiary, your vendor, your children, staff. So if leaders walk the talk, culture will be formed. And culture eats strategy for breakfast anytime.
You're talking about impact and success. Can you talk about a few anecdotes or at a personal level or at an org level where you've seen these impact stories come to life?
This was pre-COVID time. I heard noise outside my office. And I came out, and our office is in a very simple, industrialized suburb of Bangalore. So when I came out of my office, I saw 4 young kids, blue uniform, government school kids. They were navigating a robot into my room. And one was a traffic recognizing robot. Another was a color recognizing robot. And they were carrying a medal in their hand. They were all our beneficiaries, okay, from very poor background. And they told me, sir, we have got this medal in the national competition for robotics, jury's prize. And you know what? They had built robots from scrap wood, okay, and scrap things, okay, and they had presented it. So that was a moment when I felt, wow, what Akshaya Patra is doing is amazing. So what we did was, we were feeding these children. We also signed up with another organization called Just Robotics, which taught them how to build a robot. So I realized what food and education can do, not food or education. You need food and education. So this was one moment. Another one which I recently, few months back, we were meeting some beneficiaries. One girl is working for London Stock Exchange. Another guy is working for Northern Trust. Okay. Another one is working for Deloitte. Another one is a director of a film institute. Another one is a MS in orthopedics. These are all one common thing. They are Akshaya Patra beneficiaries, government school children. So we gave them meal in partnership with the government. We also gave them a small scholarship to study further. So like this, I can go on narrating till this day ends. There are so many stories. Sometime back, I met a guy 6 foot 3 inches tall. His name is Nazib. He came and told me, and we had supported him with meal and scholarship. He wanted to apply for chartered accountancy examination. So he said, I think he couldn't pass at the time. And he said, next time when I come, I would have cleared this exam. And he came with a box of laddus to give it to me. So these are what happens, Akash, is in the same generation. You can see a child from a very poor background going on to become a very valuable citizen of this country. And they break the cycle of poverty and hunger. And their parents, their lives get transformed.
That's right.
And in Akshaya Patra, we say that when you educate a boy, you educate a family. When you educate a girl, you educate a generation.
So there are non-feeding initiatives, as you call, right? Apart from this, can you talk us about some of the initiatives that the organization is?
Our core program is the school meal program. We keep experimenting on different initiatives, but we have decided that we'll focus only on two non-feeding initiatives.
Okay.
One is scholarships for the deserving children. Second, do those minimal interventions in a school which can improve the meal experience. So these two are our beyond the meal initiatives. But we are very careful that beyond meal, so we do B only if it helps A. A is our meal program.
Core focus.
Yeah.
Got it. Tell me the one biggest challenge for your next target, which I have been reading is 3 million by 2025, right?
Yeah.
What's the one biggest challenge there?
Single biggest challenge, financial sustainability. If you are able to find a way by which we can consistently raise money for additional 1 million, the current engine is ready for 2.2, 2.5 million to reach 3 million. If we can consistently raise the money that is required with the inflation that will happen in the next 3 years, and we see that kind of a visibility, if you're able to crack that, I think we will reach 3 million.
You said there are 9,000 people. Talk us about the people of this organization. How is this organization structured? Does it run like any other company, or are there very different ways that you structure this organization?
So for me, there are various stakeholders of Akshaya Patra, right? For me, when somebody asks me who is the biggest stakeholder, so the general answer, we're feeding 2.2 million children every day. So the general response people expect from me is children are my biggest stakeholder, right? Of course, children are important stakeholders or one of the biggest stakeholders. But the biggest stakeholder for me are my team members, my employees, my people. So people culture is one of the core differentiators of Akshaya Patra as an organization. So we take a lot of care in ensuring that our people are happy. They have a lot of freedom. They have freedom to experiment. There are no negative marks for failing. So, and as I told you earlier, values in action. So leaders are always nudged to practice values in action. So that's how we are structured. Okay. From overall structure perspective, we run pretty much like a corporate.
Okay.
But with the heart of we are a compassionate organization. So we give long rope, we give freedom to people, we are not cutthroat. Okay. But we expect our people to follow values. Breach of values is zero tolerance in Akshaya Patra. So then we are not compassionate.
Got it.
So, but we will respectfully part ways for breach of values. So breach of values is something everybody knows. That in Akshaya Patra, if you breach values, that is the last day. Same day closure. That's the way we run it. But the team has been very supportive. We are what we are today because of my team, actually. In terms of structure, since you asked me this question, we have a fiduciary board, which has 5 independent board members, 4 missionary board members. We have an audit committee, like what a corporate will have. A trust doesn't need an audit committee, but Akshaya Patra has an audit committee, which is headed by the former Chief Vigilance Commissioner of India.
Okay.
Zomato chairman is on the audit committee of Akshaya Patra. I'm a leading lawyer, leading CSR expert. Shridhar Venkat is on our audit committee. Our board has the former IIM Bangalore director, former managing director of Thermax, former co-founder of Edelweiss. So it's a combination of, and then we have chairman and vice chairman of monks. Then we have 2 more monks. Okay. So Akshaya Patra, another core thing is this confluence of missionaries and professionals. Very unique thing in Akshaya Patra. Very, very unique.
So where do the funds come from majorly? And when funds come inside an organization, how are they utilized?
So funds for running Akshaya Patra come from A, Government of India, state government for running expenditure, which covers about, you can say about 50% of what we need. At a ballpark number, I would say 54% actually. 46%.
So that's the public-private partnership.
Exactly.
Okay.
The 46% comes from corporates, trusts and foundations, retail
CSR.
donors,
Is that CSR?
individual. Corporates are CSR money. So that's how. And one of the unique things in Akshaya Patra, I would say unique, one of the founding pillars in Akshaya Patra is governance.
Okay.
So every penny that comes in is traceable in Akshaya Patra. And for every 100 rupee a donor gives, 92 goes to the program, 8 is my overhead cost.
Okay.
So, and we take pride in it that we handle government money and donors' money very, very carefully as if it's our money.
So that 8% includes the
That
HR
8%
cost.
includes all the overhead costs. Akshaya Patra is the only not-for-profit in India's history to be in the Hall of Fame of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India.
Yes, I read
For
about
getting
it.
5 gold shields in a row for excellence in financial reporting. When we got into it, Infosys was always there. Infosys was there. So Infosys was the only for-profit and Akshaya Patra was the only not-for-profit at the time. Then I think one more got added, another for-profit. But as of now, Akshaya Patra is the only NGO which is in the Hall of Fame of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for financial transparency.
When you say not-for-profit, that means every penny is utilized in the operations as well as
for the objects of your trust. There is no profit which goes to the founders or which goes to any board member or to any shareholder or any stakeholder. If at all we make any surplus, it is put back for the program.
What if the funding dries up or the funding, say 3 years from now, it does not, Akshaya Patra does not generate as many funds as it is generating now? What happens then?
Can I tell you, so far there has been a magic that is happening in Akshaya Patra.
Okay.
Every day we feed 2.2 million children, 1,500 vehicles, 9,000 people, salary has to go every month. We don't have a reserve. I believe that when you have sincerity of intention and purpose, then the universe conspires to support you.
Is that by design?
Yes, it is by design. This is by design. But now we feel that some amount of reserve we should create. But it's by design because I spoke to you about Swami Srila Prabhupada. He used to say, don't hoard money in the bank. It should be put to use for benefit of the society. So with that mindset, Akshaya Patra functions.
I mean, do you think about it? Is it something that...
I do think because I sometimes wear a corporate hat. So I do think what will happen. But I have a lot of confidence on Indian donors. They have stood by us. And a lot of immense confidence on our government and various state governments. So it's like when, strong brothers are there to support you, I'm not really worried about funds getting dried up.
Do these accolades matter? Limca Book of Records, Hall of Fame, felicitation by eminent personalities, recognition by different countries, all of this?
Accolades matter in the sense it's like recognition of our this one. That's like a pat on the back. But transformation of a child matters the most. Okay? We, in Akshaya Patra, though we celebrate our successes, we always say that don't bask in the past glory. So we always feed forward. So accolades, it's good for telling the world, like I told you about 5 gold shields or 7 gold shields. That's good, but that's a cursory reference. Accolades should not make you brag. Accolades should not make you arrogant. Okay? Humility is extremely important in whatever you do.
Sir, in the next section, you have to imagine that there is someone watching this and he wants to enter the social sector space in India. And I have a lot of friends who want to do it, but there are a lot of apprehensions, there are a lot of misunderstandings, which I will ask you like a layman. And I want to start from, what is an NGO? How is NGO different from a for-profit organization? And how is that different from a corporate? So if you have to explain it to a layman, how would you do it?
So I would say NGO is a non-governmental organization. How a corporate for-profit is structured to produce profit, and not-for-profit is structured for purpose. Okay, so purpose is something which is the common thing in the mission, the purpose for which you're formed. And a not-for-profit or an NGO has an objective. Okay, so whatever you do is for meeting that objective, not for fulfilling any dreams of financial dreams of market share, so much of profit. Not-for-profits are formed to transform lives, to spread happiness.
There's also for-profit social sector, right?
Those are called social enterprises. So they make a nominal profit, and that profit is again gets distributed actually. So they do make a nominal profit. Those are social enterprises.
So that's the middle path between.
In between, more towards the not-for-profit side, but they do make because many of them believe that one needs to be sustainable, and hence the social enterprise came up actually.
Got it. Where is the accountability of an NGO of this sector? Who do you report to, in the sense, as a regulatory framework? Is there some body under which all of this falls?
We are under the Indian Trust Act. Okay. We are a trust, registered trust. So we file our returns.
Okay.
So all that is required for compliance. There are a lot of compliances which we have to do. For example, if you have to set up a kitchen, then you need environmental clearance, pollution clearance. So we follow all those processes. Okay, it's very important that you mentioned, right? If somebody wants to get into an NGO or wants to start an NGO, you need to know under what framework are you going to operate, and we have to abide by the laws of land actually.
Got it.
To answer the question on, I think you asked the question how somebody should choose an NGO.
What is the starting
Start
point?
an NGO,
Yes.
yeah. So for
do we have to register a trust, or how is it?
So before even you register a trust, it's very important to ask yourself a question: why are you starting the NGO? Is it because my friend has started, or I am really passionate? So I would say to anyone who's listening, I would say first be very clear in terms of what you are passionate about, in terms of solving a problem which your beneficiary is facing. It could be education, it could be food, it could be skill. So first is to ask yourself, what is it that I am trying to solve?
So does one need to earn enough money first in life before venturing into the social sector?
You know, when I came on board in Akshaya Patra, this is my 19th year of working, at the time, probably I was amongst those initial crossovers from corporates to not-for-profit. And I believe that there should not be much difference between a corporate sector and not-for-profit. People are people, right? They need to eat food. They need to have a decent life. Of course, you don't have to splurge money, but I feel that not-for-profits should pay decent salaries to attract talent. Okay, to attract talent. So hence, you see, any place, one thing which I measure in Akshaya Patra is the average age of my office.
What is it?
So the current average age is 30. Probably people like me skew it actually. Okay. So I would want the average age to be 25, 26.
So why do youngsters join you?
No, because youngsters bring a different energy and they should be paid decent amount, decent salary. So I think its onus lies on the not-for-profit to attract youngsters. So why youngsters join Akshaya Patra? Because today's youngsters, even if you see, there was a survey made some years back, why youngsters join a particular company? one thing that stood out very clearly was the company had purpose. So if the not-for-profit, what they are looking at, has purpose, if this can become a platform for a youngster to get purpose in life, they will join, number one. Number two, are you giving them freedom to experiment? So Akshaya Patra, there's immense freedom in Akshaya Patra. A lot of freedom, no negative marks for failing. Only this one is values. So that, I think youngsters love that. And many of them spend 10, 15, 20 years with us.
Sir, if I have to talk about a 25-year-old engineer, for example, and you may choose not to answer this, and if he has a market value or a package X in a corporate or a startup, you have made a point that it is the onus is on NGOs to pay well. What would be the delta that if he has to join an NGO?
So when I said onus on the NGO to pay, that is to attract good people. However, if somebody is coming to join you with only money in mind, then he or she is not the right candidate.
And how do you judge that?
You can make out, over the experience, talk to people, you can make out. So the delta, if you ask me, at Akshaya Patra is, we may be about 70% of the market.
Okay.
70, so 30% of the delta.
So little bit more on the hiring part. How do you said by experience you judge, but is there a way to understand if someone is joining because they believe in the purpose, or probably resume building or CV building, because that happens, right? So is there a way you judge, or is now it's 23 years old, so you might have some insights on how to get the best talent for an NGO?
So, if you understand through an interview process, what has been the trigger for a person to join you? That's number one. So the why aspect is very important. Why have you made this decision to look at an NGO from a corporate? Okay. So when you do this why 3-4 times, a lot of clarity comes in. And if that why is clear, that, I want to do something for the society, at the same time, I want to earn, okay. If you come across an honest candidate, which you can find out through conversation, I think an honest candidate is always preferred.
Are there people who start their careers with you?
Oh, many.
Oh.
Many start their careers with us. The first job. Oh, absolutely. In fact, we had freshers from the Tata Institute of Social Sciences joining us. We have got, there was an year when a significant percentage of IIM Bangalore freshers had applied to Akshaya Patra.
Because I thought that people, because we've been talking about switch from corporate to this sector, I thought majority would
Akash,
be.
what's happening today, youngsters are very purpose-oriented. Much more than what my generation was.
I feel the opposite.
No. Today's youngsters are very giving types. Once they are when they know, and they're very well informed. Once they know, otherwise, how my average age is 30.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised.
The average age of my organization is 30. You come to my office, a lot of youngsters.
Sir, what is the role of social media in the life? There is one thing कि आप कुछ अच्छा कर रहे हो और आप उसको कितना दिखाओगे. So how do you do this at Akshaya Patra? Because today's generation is also very, very social media friendly.
Yeah.
So is it okay to do good work and then put it out to the world and say, yes, I've done it?
You see, that's one perception which I changed when I came on board. Whether you are a not-for-profit or in a for-profit, marketing is very important. And you are a marketing professional yourself, right? And good work should be spoken about. You don't have to brag. You don't have to paint the town red. But good work should be spoken. And to that extent, and what you write and how you write in social media, or what kind of videos come out, how earthly you are, It's very important in Akshaya Patra. I always tell my team, you create content which is very earthly, very down to earth, simple, okay, yet effective. So what we write is very important, and how we say it. It is said in communication, 87% of effectiveness is how you say it, and 13% is what you say. So your tonality matters a lot. So answering your question, social media is very important.
Got it.
In fact, 20% of resources Akshaya Patra needs to run Akshaya Patra comes from our internet initiatives.
You mean the donations and the funding?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't, you need to friend raise to fundraise. So unless I connect with people through social media,
Got it.
make them my friends, friend raise to fundraise, actually.
Sir, what is the value of money in your life? Coming from, we've spoken about it, corporate to this sector, and now spending almost 20 years here. What is the value of money in your life?
So if money can transform lives, it's very valuable. Otherwise, it's a piece of paper. Money can act both ways. If you don't use it for transforming yourself and transforming yourself for good, and transforming others for good, then money is very valuable, invaluable. And you don't use it, it's a piece of paper and can be sharper than the best swords you can come across, actually.
Where do you think India is going? And there's so much of progress happening. There is so much of social media saying things are not happening. What are your thoughts on the next couple of
You know, I
decades
was
for
called
India?
to speak at Doordarshan after this government completed 8 years. So one thing I told them was there's immense confidence in India's youngster, which I see, which was not there many years back. There's tremendous confidence which we as a country have got today. And we are courageous, confident, and these youngsters of today are going to shape the world, number one. Second, there's huge infrastructure development that is happening in the country. And a big middle class population, which is a huge buying population, actually.
Yeah.
So 70% captive consumption is there in this country, actually. Whatever you produce can get consumed here, right? So if you ask me, in the next 25 to 30 years, India will be Soni ki chidiya. Okay? What we were maybe in 1800s or 1700s. India is unstoppable. It's a juggernaut now. India is unstoppable, and I think we are in for great time. And we are all very fortunate to be in this period, actually.
Yeah. Do you have any regrets?
No regrets in life. God has been very, very kind to me. God has given me everything, actually, that is required. And I believe that one has to be content, happy. In fact, I was seeing a video somebody had sent me. 3 things are very important. One is be happy, be content, and exercise.
So one message to any youngster watching this video.
So one message to youngster watching this video is, you make your parents proud and have hope in life. Never lose hope. And transform lives, even if it is one in your lifetime. So if you can, in your lifetime, just you have transformed one life, I think it's a life worth living. After you have left this world, how you would want this world to remember you? What will be written on your tombstone is very important. And the third one is, treat people the way you expect the world to treat you. If I want the world to respect me, I have to respect the world. Anybody, irrespective of what position he or she is in. That's very, very important. These are 3 messages.
Shridhar sir, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
It was a pleasure interacting with you.
Thank you.